many men and women at this conference, widows and orphans. It is the first of its kind since the beginning of terrorism. I am very happy to be here this evening to listen to the grievances, if I may say, but also to find quick solutions to the socio-economic conditions of the wives and orphans of our comrades who paid with their lives. But before anything else, I wish for us to take a minute to pray for the souls of our comrades who fell on the field of honor for the homeland. We pray for them, and we continue to pray for all those who have gone before us to the beyond, but we do not mourn them, because we do not want to continue to pity ourselves. We will avenge them. We will avenge them forever. All those who have taken up arms against our homeland will perish. Burkina Faso will be the grave of terrorism. I promise you this. We will ensure that we continue the equipping, training, and recruitment of Burkinabe youth to defend our homeland, and that we can bring the much anticipated development to Burkina Faso for the happiness of our people. So be honored for those who have sacrificed their lives so that we can be here today. And continue to pray for all those who keep fighting for our homeland to endure. This is a war that has been imposed on us. We have no choice but to fight, and that is what we are doing. Today, more than ever, we have the initiative on the ground and are avenging day by day all those who, since 2015, have lost their lives in this battle. We cannot imagine the pain of each and every one, but we know that you are the heroes. During our absences, only God knows how you suffer. Whether we return or not, the women continue to suffer at home. The children suffer greatly from our absence. It's painful, but be sure of one thing: it's for the homeland. And all we can do is think about how to take care of you so that this pain can be alleviated. I believe that is the very essence of this conference that has brought you together, so that we can find solutions that come from you. It must be said, it has been 10 years now that we have been fighting, because the first terrorist acts appeared in Burkina Faso since 2015. But in 2023, I therefore requested that we have a clear database, first on the injured, to ensure their care after visiting them at the hospital, at the camp Sangoulé Hospital. We realized that we do not have a comprehensive record of our injured. We also held a conference with them last year, which allowed us to identify many potential solutions. However, it is still necessary to have a clear record. And this allowed us in 2023 to simultaneously reflect on the records. If we do not have the record of our injured, we need to see if we have the record of those who remain after our fallen heroes, that is, the widows and orphans. We also realized that we do not have a reliable database. That's why I think recently we have worked to develop an application from which people can register, and I have been informed that the application is ready and should be launched in the coming hours or days, and all mechanisms will be implemented to assist those who cannot register themselves, to support them so they can register, and we can first have a comprehensive, clear record of all those who have sacrificed everything for the country. It is from there that we can truly support. Indeed, the wives that you are, and our children, whom you continue to support. But before all that, we have taken a number of measures to provide as much support as possible. The record will therefore give us the scope of the situation and allow us to take appropriate measures. And it is in this sense that ASUVIC was created. because if we want to effectively act in favor of our wounded, widows and orphans, we need to have an agency specifically dedicated to this, because there are many services, and I know that many of you are often bothered by the array, indeed, of associations or services that keep calling you left and right for certain things. We want to standardize all this data. That is why ASOVIC was created. I think you will contribute through key representatives at ASOVIC to handle a certain amount of data. I am already pleased with the first point that was raised, namely finding an umbrella organization that will bring together all the widows in Burkina Faso. That is already a very good start. With the database, I think it will be very easy to do. And from there we can act consistently in your favor. Returning to the points that were raised here, when I consider the case of empowerment of women, as you mentioned, it is necessary to move towards that, so that every woman can have the means to feed her family. That is the very essence of what we want to do. It is imperative. Otherwise, how will we educate the children? How will we take care of the children? So, in this context, you mentioned a number of measures that can be considered, and we will think about the case of those who have attended vocational schools, academic degrees. The Ministry of Public Service is already considering this on the issue of quotas, notably also the training centers that we have already initiated on a small scale, but it is not yet widespread. And I say again, the file will allow us to have a mapping, because there are those who are in the big cities. But it is necessary that through the files, we can know how many women come, for example, from Borom, how many women come from Nyangologo, how many women come from Nuna, and so on. This will allow us to have, based on the geographical situation, the proportion of women, and we will be able to decide to set up specific centers in certain areas of the country to provide support. But already, with everything you have said, I can tell you something. We are in a dynamic of being able to integrate you gradually, whether it is those who have diplomas or those who do not. Already, those who benefit from training, whether in agriculture, soap making, catering, and others, we are in the process of restructuring many funds at the government level. So this year, I was able to see the report, for example, of the fund we named Faso Konaguli. They have provided loans amounting to nearly 7 billion. But for those who benefit from the loan, the purpose for which they take the loan, I have given instructions to redirect the loans towards quite strategic objectives. You will be able to benefit from loans in these structures. The FARF that you know well, which we are also in the process of revitalizing. This is in favor of all women. Here the file is clear. We can therefore have particular advantages so that you can also have funds there to be able to set up. There is the fund that existed for financial inclusion, which we recently transformed into an agency in the Council of Ministers, if you have been following. It has thus become the agency for the promotion of financial inclusion, and we want to equip them so they can support you. And it is truly the fund that is also dedicated to small and very small enterprises, particularly women entrepreneurs, to be able to have at least the minimum credit and be autonomous in their employment. In addition to all this, those who want to venture into agriculture or agricultural processing, we also want to replenish the Tunkafa fund so that you can apply. And once we have a clear enough file, if you apply, ASBOVIC will see how to interact with all these funds to facilitate and especially monitor what you are going to undertake. So we do not wish to just train you and leave you. We want to train you, support you to establish yourself, and enable you to work. When I take, for example, the field of soap, the one who produces soaps, it's not just about producing. Often selling also becomes complicated. So we have also undertaken measures already with Prime Minister so that our administration can consume what we process locally. Thus, instructions have either already been given or will be given so that through the umbrella organization we can consume what you will be able to process. So you will be given priority in all the markets that will be conducted at the level of all the administrations in Burkina Faso. And we are also in the process of wanting to even set up an industrial unit in the context of the supply office. There will be several industrial units for processing. Because within the framework of the agricultural initiative, well, we are doing a part for the military, and we are training the defense and security forces to produce. And who will process the production? It's you. And we will set up industrial units on site so that you can work in these units and be able to process what the military will produce so that it can also be distributed at the level of the Army Supply Office. So on this aspect, we are not worried. We have already taken many initiatives, and we have a fairly clear plan so that you can be employed properly and be at ease. All we ask of you is to really register on the platform so that we have a clear record. And then, as Bovic, we'll be able to support you in everything you want to undertake. Already some industrial units have been launched, notably Texforce, which is the textile industry of the army. I think that you, the beneficiaries, have priority for all employment opportunities. So, at the level of this industrial unit in Bobo Dioulasso, I want to inform you that you have priority in these recruitments up to a certain non-technical category, particularly related to machine handling and everything involved. Therefore, many initiatives are being taken in this direction so that you can truly become autonomous. And for me, as I said, I was telling the young people and everyone, the idea is not necessarily to integrate people into the public service, because I said we need to remove the mindset of public service from our heads, but we need to be able to produce wealth. There you go. So, entrepreneurship, industries, we are engaged in this process so that you can truly have decent, permanent jobs and be able to take care of families. And still speaking in this direction. So as you requested to create more training centers, the mapping will allow us to know what type of center and where to create it. You see, if we create centers without knowing where the widows are concentrated, where the orphans are concentrated, we won't be able to be effective. So through registration on the platform, we will be able to map and choose suitable locations to establish training centers, train you, and integrate you into everything we do in terms of industrialization. We are just at the beginning. I can assure you that there will be many industries that will be established in Burkina Faso, both privately and publicly, and also privately. We are in discussions with them, so that if they create companies, you will be prioritized for certain jobs. And I think many people have adopted this. Notably, I visited the waste treatment industry in Faso, and almost 100% of the women working there are FDS. Regarding the salary delegation, I even asked the question just today, and I was reassured that the process is almost complete, so I think it will be resolved in the coming days. So we are aware of all the, the suffering behind this situation, and I think it's almost okay now. It often takes a bit of time because all of this is related to the lack of files. The lack of files is truly a very serious problem. Once all of this is resolved, I think it will function better, because if we don't know, anyone could come forward claiming to be, well, our women, wives of fallen heroes. But a certain minimum of proof is needed. And you yourself have mentioned the conflict, often between in-laws, and the goal is not easy. We have experienced this kind of situation, and all precautions must be taken to ensure that you are the beneficiaries. Regarding the harmonization of decrees, I think it's a point that we will quickly address. At the level of the National Armed Forces and the Internal Security Forces, to see how we can harmonize compensations and explore all feasible options. On this aspect as well, I think you are gradually seeing the creation of the COMIPEC, which is being established. And this issue of compensation and all that will soon be transferred to the COMIPECs, because it really creates a lot of problems for families. We have been on the ground, we have witnessed these situations. Particularly, I lost a soldier in the meantime. In addition to the compensation, within the unit we often contribute to support our wife and children who are left behind. But for the first time I lost a man, I admit I was very disappointed. Because what we contributed in the unit and gave, the wife received nothing. It was really a shock. We had to contribute again as best we could and support her. That's why I said to take into account at the Comipex level this issue of compensation, because, you see, no one wishes to lose a man in the field, but if someone falls for the country, we shouldn't just see money being given afterwards. And giving it like that, well, it will serve no purpose. So I said to consider not even compensating such a cost, but that we should at least develop something for the widow and orphans who can benefit from it. Already we have modified the Code of Persons and Family. You have seen that we have now legalized. So those who do not want to go before the mayor, I think it will be valid from now on. We are waiting for the Assembly to adopt it so that we can move forward. Because, well, this is our culture. We marry like this. We don't understand why people said that you must necessarily have a marriage from elsewhere to be recognized. No, we are used to marrying like this. So we decided to change that in the Code of Persons and Families, that it be recognized. Whether someone marries in a church, a mosque, or through a traditional marriage, that it can be recognized. And a clear document can be made, and it will be valid in the eyes of the law. And even at the level of Comipex, during their enrollment, the soldier must be able to state who is their spouse or concubine or their dependents. Enrollment is done with all these files. So that in case you never know, within Comipex as well, I keep coming back to this because we have planned many things there to be able to support you. Specifically, we have set up a solidarity fund there. We make deductions, we save. There is a mandatory savings. And all this is for the families. There you go. You never know, because as a military person, anything can happen at any time. But we want that if it happens, the families are not in a very complex situation. So it's not only at the level of the National Armed Forces, but Comipex also takes into account all the internal security forces. For social housing, there is no problem. I think these are reflections we will undertake. And well, I will give you my vision already. I know that many people know it. We cannot continue to build isolated social housing as we do. So I told my Minister of Humanity to switch to the apartment system. We need to build upwards and have apartments. When the state will be able to do it, we will see how we can make concessions and, as I said, even through the community. We want to see how the military can really have this kind of housing and be safe, once again, because if we have to continue with social housing as we do now, with scattered 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom living rooms, when we reach 50 million people, how will we manage? We won't be able to farm anymore. Since we will have built over all of Burkina Faso, there will be no land left. Everyone will have their own plot and we won't be able to manage. So I said to stop all that so we can start building upwards. And the current focus is on that so we can begin the work. In this way, we will have apartments with a social housing system and people will be safe in their homes. Having a roof over one's head is the most important thing, and being truly secure. So these are aspects that ASOVIC can take into account. When the time comes, we will see what facilities we can have, and in a phased manner at the community level to facilitate this for us. Regarding the compensation files, exactly, we talked about it. Even obtaining a death certificate is a whole problem. We have also faced that. As I said, once you lose a man in the field, as a unit leader, you cannot just walk away from the situation. You have to follow up. Is the death certificate issued? Has the family received their entitlements? I have experienced those situations where you have to endure. I have already given instructions to certain ministers responsible for the matter so that they, for example, if someone has died while on assignment in a given municipality, we need to find a way for some documents to be processed centrally instead of having to go back there to complete certain paperwork. So we have taken that into account and it is in the process of being resolved, if it hasn't been done already. We will set up a one-stop shop so that if someone comes from a province to process compensation paperwork, they won't have to make countless trips back and forth to Ouagadougou or Bobo. And if the person comes for 1 day or 2 days at most in the same place, they are done, and then it's okay. So that is already taken into account. And soon, I hope we will provide you with the circuit and show you the one-stop shops that will be set up for this aspect. For the wards, as I already mentioned, we are proceeding gradually through the Ministry of Justice. You follow little by little. They study the files, and in hand, we classify people on the list of wards of the nation. But in addition to all that, there are many things planned because it is intended to build schools specifically for the wards of the nation, to take care of them, ensuring everything is completely free with all the necessary amenities. If they want to be boarded, they can be boarded. For those who do not want to be boarded, who want to come and go. In any case, we will do everything possible, and not just so that they are only among themselves. Other people could join, but the schools will be intended for the wards of the nation. And in addition to all that, I am trying to establish the school, of course, but we need to support them and be able to integrate them. So a lot of data has already been gathered, and we have, I would say, a technical roadmap for the wards. Because no matter what is said, if someone has sacrificed themselves for the country, we cannot just leave their child like that. So many measures have been taken, in addition to enrolling them in school and allowing them to attend peacefully. We have prepared the groundwork so that they can be employed once they reach adulthood, or at least achieve a certain level of education, so they can be integrated into, have a job. So that has already been thought through. It just remains to implement the first step, which are the nation's early childhood schools. So we have thought it through. We have found a school model, and that's what people have started to build a bit. So by 2025, it's not certain that we will have many schools built, but by 2026 we'll see. If we reach the number, we will already create the first early childhood schools of the nation with the necessary boarding facilities. And there, they will learn many things to be able to be autonomous when the time comes. For psychosocial support and everything, I think the army itself didn't have psychologists like that, you know. No matter what is said, in the early moments, you need a certain amount of psychological support. But we have recruited many, and we hope to be able to act very soon. And on the social aspect, I think there are many structures already taking action, particularly social services and a number of services within the army. There are also donations that are made from time to time. We are trying as much as we can to support, but it is still not enough. We will continue to emphasize, and especially to computerize all of this so that it is truly optimal. I know that not all grievances have been mentioned. I am waiting for the final document to see everything that is in it and to review the implementation point by point, what can be implemented urgently and what can be deferred gradually. But one thing is certain, everything will contribute to the well-being of those who are the heroes. I call you the heroes because I like to tell people that we who go to battle are not the heroes. It's you who are behind them, who spend sleepless nights thinking, considering everything that could happen. You are the heroes, and you are the ones who take care of the families behind. The soldier is never there. Every day on the field with the intensity, it's not easy. So, everything has been thought out to take care of you, so that you can take care of our little ones, and they can be integrated smoothly. Rest assured that the goal of this conference was to find solutions coming from yourselves, so that we can enrich our thinking and enable you to be autonomous. Many government members are here. Here I tell you that he will work with the different funds and see how we can support you in the entrepreneurship project, and also follow up with you, especially because the idea is not just to give a loan to someone, but to support the person so that it can be useful. So ASBOVIC will coordinate with all the structures that might be interested in this area and support you to become autonomous. can only wish you good luck, because you are the most resilient of our homeland. Continue in this direction, and rest assured that this fight, we have almost won it. We will win. Our Burkina Faso will be at peace, because it is the price paid by our fallen comrades so that Burkina Faso can be at peace. We assure you that Burkina will be at peace. You will be able to live with dignity, and our children will grow up in a prosperous Burkina. We promise you this. My regards to those who have come from all corners of Burkina Faso. May God bring you back in peace, safe and sound. And above all, long live our dear homeland, the homeland where, in death, we will die. Thank you very much.